with the executive order I am about to sign, we will bring the change that so many scientists and researchers, doctors and innovators, patients and loved ones have hoped for and fought for these past 8 years. We will lift the ban on federal funding for promising embryonic stem cell research.
Yay!
Times, nature allowed us only to have twins or perhaps triplets or so. Today we can create scores, yes, scores of identical individuals. We can manufacture men and women in batches. Think of it. An entire factory staffed with the product of one single egg. 96 identical individuals working 96 identical machines. At last, society really knows where it stands.
Well, we just heard our junior college professor pretending to be president presenting another one of the codexes of the radical left, which is embryonic stem cell research, when we know that adult stem cell research is perhaps just as viable without the moral ambiguity or moral problems. And we played for you an audio clip from a radio presentation of Brave New World circa 1956. And I will now enter the discussion by telling you that Brave New World was one of my favorite books when I was a younger person. I loved Huxley. In fact, I was so enraptured by Aldous Huxley's work, like everyone else first reading Brave New World, I said, who is this man that could write such a chilling science fiction novel where babies are no longer born inside a woman's womb, but are made inside a factory? And there are alphas, betas, gammas, and deltas, meaning that the social engineers, the liberal social engineers of the future, did not want the random nature of human birth. They wanted the precise nature of scientific birth, where they could control what type of individual was being made. A certain number of alphas, meaning the highest intelligence, a certain number of betas, a lesser intelligence to do more menial work. And the delta then was interfered with during the embryonic stage in order to make a lesser intelligence so they could do even more menial work. And, of course, the lowest level being the gammas, they had their embryonic fluids, let us say, degenerated by chemicals to such an extent that they were happy doing the dirtiest of work in society. And so there was no longer any social unrest in this scientific vision where there were alphas, betas, gammas, and deltas. And Obama has taken a step along that road, in my opinion, towards this Brave New World of the alpha, beta, gamma, and delta world. Now, we hear it's going to cure this disease and that disease, and we all hope all these diseases eventually find their cures. But we are arguing today that while it may be noble, which we don't think it is because I know more about this than you may imagine, all of this talk about embryonic stem cell research is being generated by the abortion industry. The abortion industry, which was somewhat chastened, correct word, chastened by George Bush. The abortion industry has uncorked the dam tonight because the fortunes that they are about to make again, which they once made under the Clinton regime, are going to be flowing into their coffers. You see, with this new call for embryos to conduct research, there must be a call for more embryos. And the only way to get more human embryos is to perform more and more and more abortions. We need whole factories of fetuses aborted. We need entire busloads of fetuses for the mad scientists to play with. And so that's why I say be very careful indeed if you are celebrating today, because you may not be celebrating tomorrow. And we've been talking about this, and now we're going to go in another direction in our discussion of embryonic stem cell research on the Savage Nation. I have heard that the entire reason or the entire all of the elements that oppose embryonic stem cell research are fanatics, religious fanatics. You heard a caller in last hour imply that without using the phrase fanatics. But the implication was if it wasn't for those darn Christians who believe in the sanctity of human life, why, we'd have a brave new world. Well, what about all of those darn Orthodox Jews out there listening to this show? What about all those darn Muslims out there and those darn Buddhists out there and those darn Hindus out there? Would you like to chime in on this discussion and tell us what you think? What does your religion teach you about embryos and whether or not they are sacred? When does human life begin, my Buddhist friends? When does human life begin, my Muslim listeners, my Jewish listeners, bless you all? when does Allah tell you that human life begins? And if you think I'm doing this out of sarcasm, you are mistaken. I am doing this out of a desire to unite the religious people of the world in the right way rather than in the wrong way. I am doing this in the hope that the religious people of the world can finally find themselves together rather than at odds. I am doing this in the hope that Muslims and Jews and Christians and Buddhists and Hindus can put down the swords of suspicion and be drawn together in the things that they believe, and drawn together by the things they believe, and drawn together to protect the things they believe in. In the name of God, I beg of you to call this show and tell the world, because you're never going to get another chance in your life to get on a radio show, and tell the world what your religion teaches you about embryos, about abortion, about brave new worlds right now on the Savage Nation. I'm impassioned about this because I know what I'm talking about, and I know where this will lead. Oh, listen, let me tell you, it's been said in many times and in many ways. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And never have I seen an issue that is more clearly defined by that phrase than this embryonic stem cell discussion. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. I am not suggesting that all of the people who are cheering today about Obama's executive order, here is a man who's ruling with more executive orders in less than 60 days, is it, than any president in the history of our free country or once free country. Here is a man who thinks he is a dictator who is allowed to, with the stroke of a pen, become a god unto himself. Now, I will go into the psychology of this president of ours, this imposter, in my opinion, the man who still looks extremely uncomfortable and out of place as he boards Air Force One or Marine One. He looks around as though to say, I can't believe I've gotten away with this. Because, ladies and gentlemen, any president who does not believe in the people, as this man apparently does not believe in the people, any president who keeps using the cheap tin slogan of change to sell a radical leftist agenda is not a president, he is a dictator. And I am telling you that only you stand between him and a total takeover of every aspect of your life from cradle to the grave. I have defined Obama and his minions as neo-Marxists. You think I'm doing it for effect? You are mistaken. For many years we heard the phrase neocon. Neocon this, George Bush and his neocon that. The neocons got us into Iraq. The neocons did this, meaning the neoconservatives. And it stuck. Well, I, Michael Savage, am trying to make the phrase neo-Marxist stick because it is an apt description of this president. He is trying to rule by fiat, which is by decree, not by a democratic process. He didn't ask you to vote on whether or not this is the change you asked for. He says you gave him the power to do whatever he darn pleases. And he says, you want to change? Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take over the banking industry. You want to change by the executive decree and my signature today? We're going to have embryonic stem cell research. What will it be tomorrow, Professor Obama? What else is rattling around in that brain of yours? No one has ever said no to him. I have told you this before. He is perhaps the most dangerous fellow who has ever sat in the White House. I say that because he has never had no said to him. From the time he was a child, the liberal white people, the guilty liberal white people, got on their hands and knees and praised him and have never, ever said a word to him that would make him doubt himself. Watch out for the man who does not doubt himself. Watch out for the man who has never been challenged. Watch out for a president who uses executive orders as though they are emails to a colleague. We are dealing with human life. We are dealing with a fragile democracy, and we are dealing with a crashed economy. It's bad enough that everything he has touched has gone up in smoke. And I will now delineate for you the fact that everything Obama has tried has failed. Shall I begin with the economy? Have any of the bailouts that he has tried worked? No. There's been a downward spiral of the economy with his socialist policies. We read today from articles around the world posted on michaelsavage.com that he has said we have failed in Afghanistan. All of the American men who have died, apparently to Obama, have died for nothing. They've died in vain. He has said the Taliban cannot be defeated. He is now going to negotiate with the Taliban in Afghanistan. He has said that he would eliminate earmarks in any budget. Remember when he was running with his hope and change? He said, I will go through every line item in the budget, and I will rule out any that are earmarked for special interest projects. Well, there's only 7,000. I would say he has an awful lot of work to do, but it's already too late for that. He has failed to bring Kim Jong-il in line in North Korea, and now Kim Jong-il has said if we put up any kind of attempt to stop him from firing a test missile, he will consider it war. The young Professor Obama, with his idealism, his Fabian socialism, has failed on every front in which he has been tried.